Hey guys, welcome back to FitDadsUK. Today's video is about preventative exercises for your ankle. So prehab exercises. So you've got rehab, which is after an injury. Prehab is preventative, basically. So you're doing exercises to try and stop yourself getting injured. So I've mentioned in a couple of videos previously I've had a few injuries and problems with my ankle, so I thought it'd be useful to try and show the exercises I try and do as regular as possible to help strengthen my ankles, keep good balance and obviously stability around the ankles as well, try and prevent further injuries. So first of all, I'm just going to show you a little bit about anatomy and what happens when you injure your ankles and the reasons why you re-injure them. And then we're going to get into some exercise which I think are really good. I'm not going to throw too many at you, I'm going to try and keep them functional and useful ones that you could be able to do regularly in your sort of daily lives as well. So let's get stuck into the video. So I just want to touch quickly on what happens when we injure our ankle. I don't want this video to really be an acute injury, what to do with an injured ankle video really. I want this to be a prehab, as in a preventative one, so I won't going to go into too much depth about it, but the important thing to understand is those, like I've mentioned earlier, the planes of movement. So you've got your plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, and then you've got your inversion, eversion. So we need to think about that when we're actually doing these exercises and think about strengthening that and think about the balance and control and stability into those planes of motion. So that's the most important thing to remember. When we injure it, we have laxity, we damage the ligaments. That will affect the stability when we go into the extremes of these movements, particularly inversion and also eversion. When you've got your plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, you get what's called a little bit of glide in the joint, and if you've damaged the ligaments, you get excessive glide. So when a joint moves, it's moving in the actual socket like that, but it's also got glide. And as physios, we use this to try and help increase and rehab ranges of motion as well, because not only does it bend, it also glides, but we can get excessive glide. So when we bend forward or backwards with the ankle, it can sort of it can translate a little bit too much, so that can obviously cause issues with your ankle as well. So it's just bearing all these things in mind when we go on to do the exercises. This gives you an idea of the ligaments around the lateral ankle, showing the two most injured ligaments, anterior talofibular ligament and the calcaneofibular ligament as well. And this just shows you the sheer amount of ligaments there that are involved within the foot and ankle. So for your ankle range of motion, what we want to do is lock out the ankle joint by pulling the knee back like this, because if we don't, what happens is we get rotation of the lower part of the leg, which is the tibia, and you may feel that you're moving your ankle around, whereas in fact you're actually rotating your lower leg. So we lock it out by pulling the knee into full flexion and sort of locking your hands over it there, and then obviously you're kind of gripping hold of that bone there and stopping it from moving as much as possible. And then the ranges again are into plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and we've got inversion and eversion. We can do combinations of those, we can roll it and we can move it around. What we're looking for is obviously any stiffness, any little bits of grinding that's happening there, any sort of little small cracks, that can we work through those, improve the quality of the range of motion, and also compare it left to right ankles as well. So with this exercise, what we're trying to concentrate on is obviously trying to get the heel down as low as possible, so you're getting a nice good length through your calf muscles and Achilles, and also it challenges your balance a little bit more to be able to come up from that deep position. And another note here is obviously the stronger your calves are and the stronger your muscles are that go into your ankle, the more chance are that you're going to have greater stability and less chance of injury. So even just doing these calf raises will increase the strength around your ankle and around your calves, so really important to do. What we're looking for here with the wobble board or the wobble cushion or inflatable cushion exercise is we're looking for control. So it's not so much about how much you jump into it, it's about how much you can control and stabilise yourself. That's the important thing. As you get stronger, obviously you can do a little bit more dynamic movements, move onto the board from a further distance. So the idea is obviously keep control, keep your balance for this one. So this one is a basic balance exercise. So again, we're thinking about control here. We're not wanting to jump too far and be wobbling all over the place and losing our balance. So we want to be really still as soon as we land, as still as possible, hardly any movement, really stick the landing as it were. And then once we get stronger, we can start to move greater distances with this exercise. What I'm doing is I'm going in different diagonals because I want to load the outside of my ankle when I'm jumping to the outside and the inside when I'm jumping across. So just varying different diagonals really. Repetitions wise, 3 sets of 10 is an average. Obviously you just want fatigue. You want to feel like you're getting a little bit tired with them. That's the idea. And regarding the landing, as long as you stick the landing, you don't need to stand any longer than that. As long as you know you've actually maintained your balance, you're not going to fall over, you can move on to the next rep. And this is just a variation where we're not jumping as far because we're landing on the wobble cushion, but just gives you a variation a little bit harder, well, a lot harder to stick the landing on these. So it's just something else to try as well, just to challenge your balance and control. And another way you can use the wobble cushion is you can do a lunge. You can put the wobble cushion underneath your front foot, or you'll see in a second you can put it underneath the back foot as well, just to challenge your balance a little bit. So another great way to challenge the ankle a little bit more. I wanted to put this exercise in because I think it's really useful, and it's probably one that people are going to struggle to do as often because it's not as easy to do and you might feel a little bit silly doing it, but there are reasons for doing it. And you'll see people in football training and stuff will use ladders and they use quick feet, and the reason why they do that is because your muscles, you train your muscles to perform a certain way, and you're doing things like jogging and it's quite steady. As soon as you start doing quick movements for a minute or two, they can get fatigued really quickly, and then they get fatigued, and what happens then is obviously you're more prone to rolling over on your ankle. So I think it's a really good exercise to try and do as regular as possible, just to do some sort of quick feet exercises. There's lots of variations to this. This is a simple one where you can just basically go over a cross. You can do it up and down on a step. You can do it side to side over a step if you've got like an exercise step, like a Reebok step as it were. So there's lots of different variations of it. So I just wanted to put this one on just to give you the idea of the quick movements and get your quick fire fibres going in your muscles. So great exercise. If it does nothing else, makes you look stupid and gives you a good cardio workout, so it's worth a shot anyway. So we've looked at the calf and strengthening the back of the ankle and around the lower leg, but this will strengthen the front of the lower leg. So often neglected. So heel walks or toe raises are really good. What I would say is wear trainers or do it on a really soft carpet. Don't be doing it on a hard floor with no footwear because you're going to potentially cause heel issues, but really good exercise. Again, just doing it to fatigue. So the single leg deadlift, really great exercise for balance, challenging the ankle. Again, what I'd say with this one is make sure your foot's fully engaged with the floor. You're not letting your toes flare up as you're going through the movement, because that's how you would naturally do it if you were running and jumping. Also, what we're looking for is to make sure that that knee's not bending inwards. We're making sure that the knee's nice and straight as we're bending forwards and coming back up to standing. So they call this one the bowler's squat or the bowler's lunge, and you can see why that is, obviously because of the position you go into. So the idea here is obviously you're challenging the balance again and the control around your ankle as you swing that leg around and touch different points, particularly when you're touching behind your body. Makes it more difficult, so obviously switching on both legs as well. So there you go guys, hope it helps. If anything, you can laugh at me looking stupid jumping around, but seriously they're all good exercises. They're all going to help you with your balance and strength and everything, so take what you want from it, but I'd advise you to obviously try and, if you do have issues with your ankles, give them all a go and try and do them as regular as possible, so they will help you. So take care guys, I'll see you in the next video. Remember, who's the daddy?